Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of a beginner game developer guide series. Now, if you have been watching this series from the start, you might be a bit confused because this video was supposed to be at the end of the series. But as soon as I recorded the programming video, I realized this is a video that should be before that. So we started recording this one. Yes, I said we because we have a guest joining us and I will introduce him for you in a minute. But before that, I have a warning. This is not going to be a tutorial series. This is going to be a guide series. What level designing is and why you should do that in your game. In the end, we will be telling you how to learn level designing. And let's get into the video. Guys, meet Gavin Vijayaratna, one of our level designers and our lead writer of our Moha project. Gavin, say hi to the audience.
Hi everyone, I'm excited to be here.
Well, level designing. So I want to start the video with a very straight question. So Gavin, in your opinion, what do you think is a level design is?
Level design, I would say it's a process where you not only lay out the map and the overall experience of the player. So from tension to emotion, everything matters in your level design. For instance, like let's say you have a situation where it's a romantic scene. Your level and your design of that level matters drastically in those situations. And if it's a horror situation, lighting, uh, layout, everything everything plays a crucial role in getting that emotion out. So yeah, I would say it's setting up the perfect experience for the player. That is what level design is.
Well said, Gavin. Because if you also Gavin watched our first video, if you remember it, we were talking about what a game is, and I specifically told the audience that a game is a objective basically, and your job as a game developer is to in, is to make this player's path very interesting. Like if it's a food, add flavors, right? uh, our player is
Exactly.
going from point A to point B, and you have to add like traps, enemies, knots, and stuff to interact with. So this path is more interactive and flavorable. So I think what you also said was, as a level designer, your job is to make this. Also, as an indie game developer, you are designing this individually. When you are designing this level, your job is to figure out where exactly you should need these flavors in, right? Which parts you
Yes.
need to
Exactly.
make it interesting.
Which parts, how much of it should be given, and where it should, how it should, all of it matters as a level designer, and you need to look into all of it. It's not just, okay, I'm going to draw out a sketch of the map I want and then I'm going to create it, because that's a very tough way to begin. Because as you move forward in your development process, you realize, okay, now I need to rework a lot of things based on uh, future additions, future cutscenes, so and so. A lot of things need to be changed if you don't think about it in the beginning as a level designer.
Exactly, Gavin. So, like you said, it's about filling the part and deciding and properly documenting everything that you should do before you start doing it. Now, when we start our project, if you remember, we both had really different approaches for this. So, like in your words, I was doing it in a more brute force way, and you were very organized and managed. What do you wanted to say about that?
So again, it's at the end of the day, it helped us both. But yes, my method is much more organized, as you said, but still, there's things I couldn't predict for, which you naturally did. So brute forcing is not a bad way. I would say there's always that perfect middle ground in between them. You should never overplan anything, or else you might end up making your entire design or your entire map a bit boring.
Hmm.
So you should always keep your plan open
Hmm.
for changes
Hmm.
and brute force your way through most of it. But most of it should, even if you brute force it, it should always be written down so you know what's happening.
Hmm. I think that was one of my biggest mistakes, because like I am the creative director of our project, so I have the whole thing in my head, but I didn't realize, like, I'm working with a team right now, right? So you guys needed to get that idea as well. But so when we start doing our level designing, I was like, why are you guys confused? This is this, but I haven't told you this. That was in my head, and it took me a while to realize, okay, I have to tell these guys this is what I have in my head. And I think level design helped us a lot, right? Because when you and me sat down at one place and start writing our level designing graph, we were discussing every bit of it, and we were going through it, and we were deciding what part is not really interesting, what part is interesting. And yeah, I remember also after we did the graft, you came back and you said, okay, I have been asking some people as well, this part might be too much, and then we redid it again, right?
Yes, like the work, like the players walk, like play through, like when you get it figured out initially, it helps you like push the game to a point where it's never boring for the player. But if I remember initially when we started, our walkthrough was pretty plain. It was get through the temple,
Hmm.
get to the mansion, and deal with the enemies on the way. So later on, we added a lot more. We discussed, we planned, and we added a lot more lore and a lot more things that the player can find as he explores the map, which brings the whole game, which gives more life to the game,
Hmm. Definitely.
making sure that, okay, this is not just a set path that you're forced to walk in, but everything there is there for a reason,
Hmm.
which makes the game much more interesting and make like gives the player something other than the main story to do,
Hmm.
and gives them a lot more to learn about the game and its
Hmm.
world.
Like you said, everything there tells a story, right? In especially when we designed our game, that's what we wanted from our game. Like not just knots, like knots definitely, knots and other interactable things definitely tell a huge story other than the main story. But not just that, even the measures, even the places, even the buildings, right, they all have a different story to tell. So I think if you are a indie developer or a team or someone who is starting new, when you are designing your level, you need to think about literally everything. uh, like Gavin said in the start, it's not just a map, it is your whole game. You need to yes, you need a map, but it is everything after that is the level designing, how you make this map interesting. Now Gavin, that is what is game development and why you should do that in every game. But how do you think a new developer should learn what is the most efficient way? Like you said, that there are like a balance in between brute forcing and managing everything, but how are they going to learn that? What do you think is the best way?
I would say first of all, everything regarding game development requires a whole lot of creativity. So I would say you would start by just just like you did, Kavindu, just start off with a few basic points. Just okay, my first goal is to get out of the house, go touch some grass, something very basic, and then it should lead to one final conclusion. And from there on out, your goal should be to fill the path and fill the process to the point where it's never boring for the player. Like, as you know, in like if the point of the game is to get from point A to point B, there should be something in between. There should always be things in between for you to do, so you never get bored by the time you reach point B. So I would say the first step in designing a level would be figuring out point A and point B, because from there on out, you are completely free to add whatever you need in between.
Some might use that freedom in very crazy ways, like we are doing it right now.
Yes. Yes.
And
That's
yes,
the best part about game development. There is no rules, especially depending on the type of game you're making. And with us making a bit of a cultural based thing, we are one of the first few to do something like this. So even we don't know the rules. So we are making it up as we go.
mm. I think that is one of the best things about our studio. We are also new developers who is learning how to do stuff while doing it. So that has been a really interesting part, because we are not bound by more traditional corporate game studio rules. We make our own rules. We create new rules if he has to, and it has been a really fun journey. It has been a year. And yeah.
Yes.
And Gavin, when it comes to level designing, what do you think is one of the worst mistakes a level designer would make?
One of the worst mistakes as a level designer you can always make, and you will tend to make this. That's why you will always need to go back and revisit everything over and over again. It's never enough. You will always find something. You will always do this here and there, which is over explaining when you shouldn't.
Hmm.
So, what I mean by this is like, let's say your player is given a path to follow, like I said, from point A to point B. You shouldn't always like instruct the player saying, okay, the entrance to path A is here, go here, and let the player find it naturally. You just need to design the level in a way where he can look at it and see, okay, so that's my path. That's where I need to be. That's where I need to go. And you can do this very well using layouts, lighting, uh, like foliage, and a lot of things. Like even like special game tactics. Like I know some games like, for instance, I think Assassin's Creed has Eagle Vision.
Oh yeah.
Or there are some games which give you special visions where it will show you the path, like using footsteps, like lit up footsteps, or show breakable walls, like
Hmm.
special hidden. Like this
Hmm.
is all level design. It's never instructed to the player, okay, you should do this. It will maximum give you a clue saying, okay, use this special ability here,
Yeah.
but everything else is purely level design.
So that is a really good point, because like I didn't even realize it at some point, because I remember when I don't remember the game. Well, it is in there for lots of games. I think that is it was one of the Call of Duty games where when you play it, you can see where you should climb. Like that point, that place is really visible, but like there isn't a UI saying you should climb here. Like when the player goes there, the environment tells you that this is where you climb. Like
Exactly.
gamers know what I'm talking about. Like especially in Prince of Persia games, I think. Like there is a like if you are running through a wall, if you like they don't say run through this wall, but you know you can run through this wall because there is a scar on the wall. It is a
Yes.
great way of
And
saying.
some of the best modern games that do this very beautifully, God of War,
Hmm.
uh, Tomb Raider,
Hmm.
Uncharted,
Hmm.
these games pull this level design to a very good level where they never have to tell you what to do. You as a player will naturally know, okay, you will know the mechanics of the game,
Yeah.
and you will know where these mechanics can be used in the map without them having to tell you ever.
Hmm.
Probably in the introduction, like saying, okay, if you see something like this, use that, but later on, they will never tell you. You will naturally find it.
Hmm. That is actually a really good point. Now, just to wrap up everything, what do you think are the things that a level designer will just ignore, but it still is important? That feels not really important, but still is very important.
I would say pacing.
Mm.
Most people are in a real rush to get their games out, so they will ignore this point very easily. They don't always want to, but they will be forced into this. That's why you should have someone always look through uh, like your gameplay or your the flow of your game, because some people might always catch on to some things that you might not. First, first of all, you should always get other people's opinion, because us humans, when we make something, we are extremely proud of it, and we tend to overlook all the red flags in that project that we work on. So you should always show it to someone else. And one of the biggest things that we screw up naturally is pacing.
Mm.
For instance, I think we ran into this problem a few times throughout our game when, especially in horror games. Horror is it's a very tough thing to give properly to a player without overdoing it, because if you overdo horror, it becomes normal, and the whole scared or fear of it goes away. So if you don't pace your map, if you don't pace your level out properly, the intensities of your jump scares, the tension that you build will completely disappear.
Hmm.
So in any, especially in horror games, you should always look into like giving calm moments.
Hmm.
There should be calm moments in horror games. It's always necessary.
Hmm.
And especially before like intense situations or jump scares, they should be done in a way where it's natural, where the player won't realize they're in a calm situation, but their heart rate will naturally drop
Hmm.
in these places.
Hmm. Exactly, Gavin. I think we have been really trying to do it in our game as well. Like how to, we have been really thinking when we are level designing how to tell a story, how to make this environment, make this prop feels very suspense or calm, depends on the situation. We have been doing lighting in a way that, well, for example, guys, we have a temple in our game, and we have a very scary part which I'm not going to tell where it is. So in the temple, we have been doing lighting in a very warm and a calm way, so our player feels very uh, relaxed, like Gavin said. So calming down the player before we get into the horror. As we go into the forest, the lighting, the warm will just fade away, and a more blue light will come. That way, we are building the suspense of the game. And this is just one example that we are using. So we have been doing this not just in lights, in props, in environment. So if you are a new developer and you are designing, you need to think about all of these things when you are designing your level. It is, you cannot get into programming before doing all of these things, or else it will be a huge mess. So guys, that is what level designing is. To quickly summarize everything what Gavin and I mentioned, when you are making your game, level designing is one of the most important parts, because that is where you decide the order of your game, the phasing of your game, and the suspense of your game. So please don't ignore that. It is one of the most important things when it comes to development, which is the reason I wanted to talk about this before the programming video. In next video, we will be talking about Unreal Engine and the programming. So stay tuned for that and see you on the next one. And you will definitely meet Gavin on our upcoming videos in our next videos. And yeah, see you on the next one, guys.
Excited to be there. Bye, guys.